And yes, Hope is Speaking is back. I typically do not come on during the evening. However, I like it. I like it. I like it. And it's good to change up. Sometimes we will be in a place where we naturally are getting up early and we love an early rise. Or there's the flip flop of just being later. And I'm in that later space. What's up, Mag and Maureen? There I am. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for liking the live. Mag, I love that you rush to my lives, especially since this is like the complete opposite time, but it's a complete opposite time in life. And I just flow with it. So there we go. And I enjoyed the live last night. And that's why I entitled this live Stories About Your City, because I loved that my dad, when someone would tell them where they were from, he could relate something to that city, either a restaurant or a hotel or a memory. And through my time traveling, I have that same ability because I've been so many places. So, any where you live, put the state or put your city. It's a great chance that I've been there and that I have a story from there, all the ones I can tell. And I can tell all of these stories. I'm a storyteller. So this is refining my storytelling skill. Yes, of course I did. Every day is wonderful. What did I do? I was with my sisters and my nieces, and I told my niece when me and my sisters were, well, it was one of my sisters. It wasn't the others. It was just me and her. There was a few years that when the clock struck midnight, we would strip naked and run down the street and then run back to the house. Now, why we did, I mean, it was a crazy thing to do. I was probably like, I don't know, 12, 13, 14, 15, something like that. But I was like, yeah, let's just run naked down the street. I am in suburbia. So no one's outside. And even if they were, oh well, you would see these two random girls running down the street and then turning around and running back. And that's what we used to do. But New Year's isn't that. Well, every day is the same. I actually don't put extra weight. Oh, I had to do that too. Then there's the other side. There's parts of my life, yeah, I've probably like cut that out of my brain. But I did have to do watch service or washing the saints' feet at my grandmother's church, where they would wash feet. And it's cruel and unusual punishment. The sit-ins, the revivals during New Year's, I've had to do those, and that is part of my story. I A lot of us have those stories. But watch night, why am I staying up all night? And I think I had to stay up. I don't even actually remember. I don't actually remember. And this was my grandmother's church. But I don't remember if I stayed up. It was such a long time ago. New Year's there was a thing for a while, and then New Year's is kind of for amateurs. So New Year's, I didn't mind resting and not being out with the drunkards. Again, if you're not a drinker, if you're always the sober one, then being around people drinking is not like, not enjoyable. So, yeah, I've had to do that. But this time it was just with my family. Um, and we were watching movies, which we, I don't watch anything, I don't have a TV. And movies aren't like a thing like they were 20 years ago or 15 years ago, where you said, oh, this is definitely a great horror film. There's just, what's up, Terry? There's a overwhelming amount of material. And we were trying to pick a movie, but no one really knew. All you could do is like go to TikTok and ask. But I even see that like with makeup, because when I was in makeup, it was probably '03 to '05. And then Sephora opened up, maybe '05, '06. There were brands, but it was not overwhelming. Now it's somewhat overwhelming with cosmetics. It's more attainable to start a cosmetics brand. So before, that's the only difference. It's not like everyone has one. No, people just actually have the ability to do what others have been doing. So that is a great thing, and it's just a lot of product. And because I was in that industry, and I read all of the ingredients, most of these things are all the same. Packaging is different, branding is different, but they're made in the same factory. So there's not much difference. And I just find it just an overwhelming amount of product. And it's great because Americans spend a lot, we just buy everything. I buy what I want, and I buy well made things. I don't just care to just buy. Like, why am I buying? Is this a useful thing? But Americans shop a lot. And I saw that because yesterday was the yellow tag sale at TJ Maxx or Marshalls. They're all under the same umbrella. So TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and Home Goods all operate under the business entity of TJX Brands. And it's the top grossing retail brands, for several reasons. The initial reason is, since they buy closeouts and limited stock, there is more of a urgency to buy, because the belief is this won't be here the next time, so I have to buy. However, it's always marketing. To clear out stock, to bring in new stock, everything was marked down to, I don't know, $3, $5, something. I don't care what it's marked down to, because I don't need it. The thrill of buying something at a reduced price that I don't actually need is, there is no benefit. I don't need it. When I need something, I just go get it. However, there was that, and my sister and my mom went, and they said, "Do you want to come to the red tag sale?" And I was like, "No, I I don't. I don't find it fun to just go look around in a store unless I know I'm going to get something, and I'm specific about where I will shop. And it's just not enjoyable. It's just not something that I want to do, go and just roam around the store. But yeah, that's okay. If That's why I didn't go. So the shopping and the TGX brands, and I used to love it though. I think I used to live near one, And this is when I moved back to the US. And so I would just like take an Uber and go to TJ Maxx and go shopping and get candles and like hand soaps and hand lotions. I don't go for the clothes. There's really no clothing items in those stores that I would wear. But I do go for like the kitchen supplies and the skincare. Those are my things. Those are the only two things I look at. And the international foods. And the international foods. So there's that. But I didn't go. And I am still enjoying time with the family and enjoying my reverse schedule because Mag knows this is later for me and I like it. I'm kind of experimenting with it. It's kind of nice. So last night on live, I shared some stories about traveling, and I like to remember these stories because I write them down and I like to be able to just recall them. And because I'm an extemporaneous speaker, it's always just bubbling in my mind. So I like to share these stories. I do. And sometimes I remember some of these stories from these cities or these layovers, and it's good to be reminded of the awesomeness that you have lived. So I saw there was, oh gosh, yes. Okay, so Amsterdam. Well, Holland and the Netherlands, I love. My I have a deep love for Amsterdam because it was my first training flight. So, out of flight attendant training, it was my international training flight. It was to Amsterdam. And so, Amsterdam with the airline was the first country I visited. And because we couldn't stay with the crew, because we were still training. We weren't official flight attendants yet. We didn't stay in Amsterdam. We were actually driven to Rotterdam. And Rotterdam is the second largest port in Europe. It's a huge port. A lot of things come through Rotterdam, and it's an amazing city. I love it. It's beautiful. And the time of the year was April, probably May. And so the tulips had bloomed, and that's what Holland, the Netherlands, Amsterdam is known for, their tulips. And I remember us driving from Schiphol Airport to Rotterdam, which is quite a distance. And it was just beautiful. No, not that city. Is that a city, Maureen? So I remember on that training flight, my first international training flight, I love going to grocery stores. That is my thing. Wherever I travel, I like just going to a grocery store, people watching, reading products, seeing the difference in fruits and vegetables, seeing the difference of the products, looking at the products, reading the products. Like, I love it. I can spend an hour in a grocery store. It is a thing. So that's what I did. And in the grocery store, some gentleman came up to me and he initially was speaking Dutch, and I'm not a Dutch speaker. So I responded back in English. He was like, "Oh, you're American. Like boom, boom, Twin Towers." I was like, "That what an interesting way to merge American. How interesting." And he was a former well-known Dutch soccer player. And I found that out later, and he was really cool. But I remember meeting him in the grocery store in Rotterdam which is the second largest port in Europe. And we stayed at the Golden Tulip, which I love. I love the Golden Tulips, and it's a hotel chain throughout Europe. And oh, okay, okay. I might have. I've been to Amsterdam again. I've been to these places hundreds or thousands of times. This is the first time. So my initial training flight. Then my first flight as a flight attendant. So, out of flight attendant training, the company allowed you, I think it was like 10 days, 7 or 10 days in a hotel that they paid for as you transitioned and found your apartment or home or place to stay. Yeah, I've gone there throughout the year. So, if you came out of training and did not yet have your apartment, the company's thought was we'll give you 10 days in a hotel near the airport for you to sort everything out. After the 10 days, you're on your own, but you have 10 days, and I think we had a food stipend. And I was on what's called reserve. So, when you're on reserve as a flight attendant, it's typically the newer flight attendants, and you know the days that you're working, but you don't know where you're going. So you may know, okay, I am on reserve from Monday to Friday. So I'm somewhat on call, and the company can call me and assign me a trip. They usually would assign you a trip with 8 hours until the trip left. So if the flight was leaving at 9 at night, they would call you by 1 in the afternoon. So you had enough time, maybe if you were sleeping or commuting, whatever. But I was fresh out of training, so I had never flown any flight. And I was on call-in reserve. So there was two types of reserve. There was one reserve where you would call in every day to this automated system at 7 p.m. the day before, and you would hear your flight assignment for your next day of reserve. So you would either hear your flight assignment, where you're going, what time you need to check in, or you would hear released, which means you're not working, go ahead and have a great day, or converted, which means now you're converted after midnight to phone reserve. So they'll just call you after midnight and you're like on edge. This is why I don't sleep with my phone in my room. After I retired from flying, that's done, because I created an anxiety from just knowing after midnight I could be called. And you could get a call at 1:30 or 2 or 3 a.m. They would happen, but most of the time, I mean, that's just a part of it. It's a part of it. You get used to it. So the first day I didn't get a call, and I was like, wow, okay, this is my first day on reserve as a flight attendant, no call. Then the second day, I remember, because we were put up at like this Holiday Inn in Virginia, like Fairfax or one of these places. And I was on the treadmill because I, specifically with flying, however, I like movement every day. I don't say I gotta work out, I just have to move. And traveling, I built a disciplined routine with my sleep, with movement, with what I eat, with quiet time, because you really can't eat junk and travel. You can, but you won't feel well. And a lot of people I saw, especially within aviation or flight attendants, would assume like, yes, I'll have this cheesecake. Yeah, I'll have this piece of cake. Of course, I'm on vacation. Except you're not. This is like your job. And you do this twice a week. And that's 8 times a month. So it's it can pile up. And often when people start flying, they gain weight because you're kind of eating out of boredom. You may not know when you're going to eat or get in late, so you eat like old pizza. There's all of that. But I was on the treadmill in that Holiday Inn that the company put us up in. And I remember answering the call like, yes, this is Hope. And they were like, Hope, we have your assignment. I'm like, yes, I'm expecting. I didn't actually have an expectation. And again, this was me fresh out of flight attendant training. I had already relocated to the DMV area and I'm waiting on my first assignment. And they said it is AMS. Your check-in, I think, was like 16:40, like 4:40 in the afternoon. I'm like, AMS, where is that? Now I know every airport code. It's been years, but that was my first assignment. So I said, well, where's AMS? She said, Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. I'm like, that's my first trip. Ah, okay, cool. So I got off the treadmill. I was really excited and it was amazing. Now, it was my best trip and probably the worst trip. Here's why. This is my first flight. I am 22 and I am excited because I knew this is my ticket to expand my mind, to see the world, to grow, to challenge myself. One of the most expensive forms of freedom is travel. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not something that is like knocked off. You can't half travel. You either travel or you don't. And so when I was hired and went into flight attendant training, I was like, yo, I'm not getting, this is it. This is it. And training is similar to like a college experience. You're like in a dorm setting, you're on a campus, there's people that gravitate to each other, there's cliques, there's all that. I did not care. I did not care about any of that. And my dad being a business owner and me working in my dad's office, and let's get these likes up. Mag, what are we doing? 350. Let's get these likes up. At least last night we got up to 20,000. Yeah, I'm challenging 100,000 likes or until my battery runs out. That's how I'll talk tonight because it's Saturday and typically I have kind of a time restriction, but why not? Let's do something I've never done before. Let's do 100,000 likes. Okay, so I get to training. I'm from Central California. I've traveled with my family, but now I was like, I'm getting the heck out of this small hometown. I have what it takes. I'm ready to see the world and take the world on. And so in training, I'm cordial and I know people. However, my dad would say the people you work with are not your friends. Not that they're your enemies, but they're your colleagues. You share the space of the workplace. That's it. There's no other commonality. You did not grow up together. You don't have the same thoughts. The only place that you are crossing is your place of business. Treat it as such. Sure, we can have a working relationship. However, I'm not looking for my next best friend where I work, especially in training, because this was the first hiring after 9/11. This was in 2006. So there was a lot of us who were young in the training center as flight attendants, 21, 22, 23, 24, and there were then people where flying was their second career. So they might have been in their 40s, 50s, or 60s. It was a great mixture of age diversity and just every type of diversity, and specifically age diversity. But I'm not letting any of y'all mofos get me kicked out of here because flight attendant training is intense. And it can be daunting because you're kind of being watched. And you sign a contract that says all of your behavior is really up for approval or disapproval. We had to sign that within the training center that you could not mock or pretend to be inebriated. So if you're walking down the hall like, "Oh, I'm so drunk," you could actually be let go for that. And there was no way that was happening for me. So I didn't drink, and I would get up early because I was hungry. And this is why I speak. You got to be hungry for something. It was either this or I'm like trying to figure it out in my hometown and people are like switching around their exes. I'm not doing that. I'm out of here. I'm doing what it takes. I don't care what it takes. I have to be sharper. I have to be disciplined, and I will be successful at this. I'm not hanging out. We ain't going out. I can do that after I complete this. Okay. That is my thought, because the goal is to complete this and start my life of a wonderful, fabulous, Renaissance, well-traveled woman. Not hang out with y'all and talk about people. Y'all are great, but I got to get to the goal. And I do remember reporting to the training center. And even, let me go even further back. On my way to flight, fantastic, thriving, and receiving good things. On my way to the training center, I remember this because I was getting on the flight from I believe it was LA to O'Hare. And I sat down in the seat that was near the boarding door. So you had to walk past the window seat, the middle seat, which was empty, and then the aisle seat, and go down the aisle to get to your seat. So I was at the window. And so everyone who's boarding the flight is walking past me, but the middle seat is empty. So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe the middle seat is empty. I don't know. So we're boarding, and I see this cute guy. I'm like, oh, look at this cute guy, this tall, cute guy. Look at this cute guy. And he was standing in the aisle of first class. He is. Thank you, Lefty. Lefty in Stuck. So I see the cute guy standing in the aisle of first class. And then boarding came to a close. So the flight attendants made the announcements. Our boarding is coming to an end. Everyone take your seats. So that cute guy in the first class aisle actually sat in the middle seat next to me. I was like, this is great. This is fantastic. Of course, this cute guy would sit right next to me on this flight to Chicago. So we talked, and really cool guy. So I get to the training center. I think I actually get there late. But I check in, and I'm told my dorm room, my room that I'm in. And I go to the room and get in my bed, take a shower, because the next morning we have like a breakfast and orientation, and we go straight into flight attendant training. And I remember the setup of the room was like 2 full-size beds, and then across from those 2 beds was 1 bed. What's up? And there were 3 wardrobes and like a big bathroom. So it was like a room for 3 people. And one of the girls was from, I think she was from up north, like Oregon or Washington. Really cool. Again, I can get along with anyone. I also have 4 sisters. So thank you. I know how to get along with everyone. I do. And I know when people don't know how to get along with people as far as cohabitating. However, it was her and then this other girl. And then this other girl was really sheltered, and she had a heavy religious upbringing. And she was just like wanting to explore the world. Well, She came to the training center, which was in Chicago, and I believe she met someone or already had this boyfriend and hadn't been able to interact with men. So the fact that she was in the training center and she was able to interact with a man without the influx of her family, she loved it. And she loved it enough that some of their activities caused her to have a serious, like, infection in her body. And she actually had to go to the hospital and was sent home from training, which was like, no, I love the flirting. Flirting is fabulous. I mean, all flirting is just like playful banter. I flirt with life. It's quite all right. And then there's times where I'm completely like non-flirtatious. And I'll get to that later. So this was training center. I know. I'm a charmer. I am. I am. So that girl went home. My other roommate was, there was a lot of interdating, and I have really strict rules about me. I see myself as this corporation where I will never romantically be with someone who is within my job space or really within my industry. Because I don't want to interact with you. I don't care for that to be a part of the chatter. I just don't. Never have, never will. Or maybe I have. No, I haven't. So anyway, she started dating this guy who appeared to have a dependency on substances. I choose my words well. He appeared to have a dependency on substances, and he was always like really alert. And I'm really alert, but I'm not on any substance. And this guy, I was like, so you like him? She says, yeah, she liked him. I remember because during training was 8 weeks. So it was essentially 2 months in Chicago. And imagine living in a campus and going to classes every day. And the classes didn't always start at the same time because the company's thought was, as a flight attendant, the starts of your days will vary. So sometimes the start of the day was 5:30. Sometimes the start of the day was 10 a.m. Sometimes the start of the day was 4 p.m. Like, it varied. And towards the end, we had splits. So some people had an earlier lecture day, and then after they were completed, the other half went in and had their classes. So she was on the earlier one, and she set her alarm. This is back when people actually used alarms. Now, we're sharing a room. She set her alarm, and she did not wake up. And so her alarm kept going off, and I'm not sleeping too far away from her. Thank you for the roses. Continue to like and share the live. Thank you for sharing the live. So this is what I did. You set that alarm. You aren't waking up for that alarm. I'm up for your alarm. After 10 minutes, I'm getting up. I'm walking over to your alarm because it's not waking you up, and I'm turning off your alarm. You had 10 minutes. That's actually 9 minutes longer than you had 10 minutes to wake up from your alarm. After 10 minutes, I hear her annoying alarm. I walk over to her alarm. I turn it off. And she continued to sleep until something in her soul woke her up. And she was like, oh my gosh, my alarm didn't go off. I said, no, it did. It did. I turned it off. It was going off for 10 minutes. You obviously aren't waking up. I'm the one waking up from your alarm, so I'm turning it off, and that's it. And she did not receive that well, understandably so. However, if you aren't waking up from your alarm, I'm not going to wake up from your alarm. Okay? There. Now, back to finishing training, getting my report for my first flight, which was Amsterdam. I get off the treadmill, I pack my bag, and I report to the airport. I'm so excited. And I get to briefing because prior to flights, all the flight attendants meet, and there's like a list where we're told, okay, there's X amount of wheelchairs, there's a passenger who is coming on with oxygen, we have all of that. The flight's going to be X amount long. This is the weather conditions. This is the hotel. Does everyone have the same hotel? This is the time we will be meeting for pickup the next day to return back. We have a full briefing where we're assigned where we're going to work on the plane. So we all know our assignments. And with that assignment, you know where you're working, you know what seat you're sitting in, you actually know where your designated luggage compartment is, all of that. And the crew was great. And I said, hi, I'm Hope. This is my first flight. They're like, wow, okay, this is great. We got to take you out. So the head flight attendant was very nice. And she was on her phone with her husband that she loved so dearly. And she had shown me pictures of her two kids. And she was like, oh, my little girl kind of favors you. And I said, oh, let me see. And she had two beautiful little girls. And her husband was saying, baby, have a great flight. And it was great. And I didn't think anything of it. Got on the flight. I believe I was working in economy. Nothing really stood out about working there. So we land in Amsterdam, and we immediately, now, most of the time as flight crew, we don't go through immigration. And this is why when I told this yesterday. My perspective of traveling is not going to be the same as, well, no one's perspective of traveling is the same, but mine would be different because of just that. Not going through customs and immigration, having your own designated security line, having your own designated line when you get to the hotel. So when we land in Amsterdam, we actually come out the door from the jet bridge, take the stairs down, and there's usually vans that take us to our hotel in Amsterdam. And everyone was so excited and they were happy because it was my first trip. We used to do this. People don't really do it anymore. Back in the day, we used to do this. The pilots would go, because in the airport, you can actually buy beer. And they would go buy the whole crew these lovely Dutch ales and Dutch beers. So imagine, we have just worked through the night. Technically, it's like, 4 a.m. our time, 3 a.m. our time. We've worked through the night. We're going to the hotel. It changes, but we were right in the city center. We get on the van, and then the what's up, the lagers start being passed around. Now, I don't really drink beer. However, I do if I'm in Holland or Germany at that time. And so you have the beers. Then someone would make like mimosas. So they would take the orange juice from the plane and pour it in a 1.5 liter water bottle that we've emptied out, add a few minis of Di Serono, and add champagne. So you would have like probably 4 of these mimosas. Then maybe someone would just bring champagne. So we've worked through the night. Thank you, Marley Mall. We're on the van going to our hotel in Amsterdam, and we are drinking like on this transport to the hotel. This is my first flight, so They're just giving me a cup of something. I'm like, okay, I'm just drinking it. It you like stumbled to your hotel room. It was great. I was like, this is fantastic. This is great. You work that 7 hour flight in. Yeah, because you were up all night. It's technically, it's early in the morning their time. It's already like 7 a.m. And people, you're getting toasted. Like as soon as we can get off the plane on the way to the hotel. It was insane. So it may take about 40 minutes to an hour to get to the hotel because it's in the city center, and the airport isn't far from the city, but there can be traffic. So we get to the hotel and we check in. Again, we have our own designated line as flight crews. So the pilots and flight attendants, we have our own designated line. We go check in, we get our room keys. On your room key is your pickup the next day, which is the time you have to meet in the lobby to work the flight back. And contractually, for my company, what's up, Simba? Internationally, we had to have a what is it called when someone a wake up call, a wake up call 1 hour at that 1 hour prior to pickup time. So if pickup time was 6 p.m., we contractually had to have a wake up call at 5 p.m. because people had accidents and never came down and or hurt themselves, and so contractually we would have to pick up and say, okay, I received this, I'm coming downstairs. If you did not pick up the phone, someone would come and knock on your door to see if you were alive. Seriously. Because there was a time I think I overslept, and they did. But we got that. We have our room keys, and everyone, the pilots and the flight attendants say, everyone go to sleep because we're like tipsy. We're all drunk. And we'll meet back downstairs at, say, 4 to go for drinks and dinner. And I'm like, okay, this is great. So I stumble up to the room. Yeah, I was pretty inebriated. Take a shower, go to sleep. That's what we would always do because you've been up all night. So you get to your room, go to sleep, you wake up, come downstairs, and we would all meet at the bar. Now, everywhere we would go, we would have discounts at the bars and the restaurants because as crew members, it's a part of our contract. So if we had room service, the food would already be 50% off because as crew, we received that. We always received some sort of discount. And so I came down and we started at the bar in the hotel. And really throughout Europe, but like Holland or the Netherlands, schnapps is lovely, and there's so many different flavors, and you can have it as a aperitif or you can have it as a digestive, an after dinner drink. But black licorice schnapps or peach schnapps or mint schnapps and vanilla schnapps and coffee schnapps, hazelnut schnapps, there's all of these schnapps. I'm like, what is all of this schnapps? It just tastes like rubbing alcohol and whatever flavoring, but schnapps was big. And I enjoy life, so if you pass me the shot, I'm going to take it every time. And so we're having schnapps and some little, thank you, Simba, some little light plates. So after the initial drinks in the hotel bar, we move on to the restaurant where the whole crew is going to eat. And it was a traditional Dutch restaurant, and which is meat heavy, however, done well, hot food. It was great. And I remember the pilot saying, "This is Hope's first flight. Congratulations, Hope, many more." And this is at the restaurant where we're all having drinks. And he orders a bottle of champagne. I'm like, "Of course, yes, let's drink to that. Let's drink the champagne to that." I love it. I love it. I love it. So if you're listening, we've already had the schnapps at the bar in the hotel. Now we've left our hotel in Amsterdam and gone to the restaurant. And we have appetizers and a salad and a full meal. I'm a fan of all food. I can always find something lovely. And what I like in Amsterdam, because they have a large Suriname population, I like to go and get food from Suriname. Or there's certain other countries that Holland has merged with in some ways. So there's that, and maybe it's like food from Nepal. There's interesting, yeah, very good Ethiopian food and Eritrean food. So schnapps, champagne, then after the meal, and they're covering all of this because they're like, "It's your first flight. We're going to take you out. This is going to be great." Now we've moved from the bar to the restaurant to now another bar slash club, because it's probably 10 by now, 10 p.m. And at this bar, we went to the Green Man, which is it's well known in Amsterdam. And we are having more drinks. And I don't even know what I'm drinking at this point, but I'm with my crew. And this is when I start seeing different sides of the crew. I see the head flight attendant, who is speaking so nicely to her husband, cuddled up with one of the crew members. And I was like, "Oh, okay. I see nothing. I say nothing. It ain't got nothing to do with me." I really, it's not even that I'm not a snitch. I really see nothing. I see nothing. Okay. I see nothing. I say nothing. I wasn't there. You cannot accuse me of nothing. I see nothing. Grown people just do what they do, and I don't see it. Okay. So she's cuddled up with someone, which I thought, good for her. That's great. Then I see another crew member smoking a joint, and she's like, "Hope, you don't want to do this now, but after you're off probation, you got to try it here." I'm like, "Okay, this is getting, now people are letting loose, because we are in the club. We are in the club, and everyone is inebriated. We are on our third or fourth spot, and everyone has been drinking." So now the head flight attendant lady is passionately making out with a crew member. People are enjoying what Amsterdam has to offer. I'm dancing. We're on the bar. It's great. But we have like let's say, a 8 a.m. pickup. And so we, yeah, I've landed everywhere. And we cannot, we have to have 8 hours. I believe it was 8 or 12 hours free from alcohol consumption. And everyone was really strict with that. That's why they start drinking early, because 8 hours prior to that pickup, you cannot have alcohol in your system. And we all stuck to that. So we would take all of our shots, but everyone would stop at a certain point. But they stayed in the club because it's my first flight, my first time in Amsterdam. But as the night gets later, people are really liberated. And I'm thinking, when are y'all going to sleep? We got to work back. It's already 4 a.m. Like, I have to be downstairs by 8, not up by 8. This means I have to be up at like 6, and it's 4. It's 4 o'clock, and they're trying to go one other place. So finally, what's up, 1%? We get in a cab and we make our way back to the hotel. Now, in the cab, I am with the crew member that is with the head flight attendant that has forgotten I'm in the car. and they are passionately touching each other, and clothing has been moved to the side, and they are passionately kissing each other, and I'm just there. And this is my first trip, and I'm like, this is mad uncomfortable. But then again, like, what do you say? Like, hey, stop doing that. I'm just there. I'm catching the ride back to the hotel. It's all of this, and this is my first flight. This is my first working flight as a flight attendant. The head flight attendant is with another crew member in the cab with clothing moved to the side, and I'm like, get it, get it. I'm all for it. I just have to adjust to the fact that I'm sitting here while this thing is happening. So we get to the hotel, and they stumble with me into the elevator and continue what they're doing. And I'm like, "Do, do, 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 do. Okay, well, yeah, have a good night." Like, again, I see nothing, I say nothing. But there was another crew member that was having like a panic episode where she was like, "Hope, I hate that you see me like this. I don't want you to see me like this. And my parents hate me and my family hates me." I'm like, "Girl, what? What? Why are you telling me that?" I know that is probably uncomfortable, but I'm not the outlet for this. I'm your coworker, and I just met you like 16 hours ago, and you are sobbing. You are twice my age. You're having a breakdown in the elevator, and I have to carry her to her room because she was like, I can't believe you are seeing me like this, and this is why my parents hate me. I'm like, girl, I get it, but let me get you to your room because this is this is just what it is. But I need to get you into your room. This was one of the greatest things about cruise. We always made sure that we got to our rooms safely. So she's sobbing on my shoulder, telling me how her family hates her, telling me how she doesn't like that I'm seeing her like this. Yeah, my first flight. And I carry her back to the room, oof, like push her in, and like she's safe, close the door. I go to my room, get like 2 hours of sleep, and get up, put on my face, iron my uniform, get up. And I'm like drowsy, but again, I don't know how this goes. This is my first flight. So I go downstairs. It, it was like nothing happened. It was like nothing happened. The head flight attendant and that crew member that she had enjoyed weren't were acting like they didn't know each other. The one that had the breakdown had a breakthrough and was unaware of her breakdown, and it was like, oh, okay, so this is okay. Wow, all right. And we got on that flight from Amsterdam and worked back to DC. And that was it. It was a perfectly fine flight. And it was the best because it was so much fun. And I say it was the worst because I thought every trip was going to be like that. That was my first trip on the line. And I would see that flight attendant, and she knew what I saw. And I would kind of just be like, oh, okay. Again, I see nothing, I say nothing, and it was a shock. So that is the story about Amsterdam. Then I used to fly Amsterdam a lot. I do love Holland. I love the bakeries. I love the thrift shops. There's beautiful holidays and celebrations. And there's a lot of nice museums. The Van Gogh Museum was near where we would lay over. The Anne Frank Museum. There's just, Amsterdam is such a vibrant city. And I love the canals. I like Amsterdam. It's just simple and easy. Uh, but there was like a date. Was it a date? How did I meet that Dutch guy? Because when people say about going Dutch, it really is like that in Holland because the thought is everyone is equal. Men and women are equal. So there is no expectation of one person incurring all the costs. So if you go out to eat with someone or on a romantic date, thank you for sharing the live, Vincy girl. The expectation is, yeah, each person just pays their portion. It's not even a second thought. It's cultural and it's expected. And how did I meet that artist? If it was like an artist or a painter, and we went out to eat, and then we went to some art gallery, and then he had a motorcycle. I was like riding on the back of his motorcycle. It was really cool. Uh, Amsterdam is a great place to go out. I've had plenty of nights that I don't really remember. Yeah, that was the first place I talked about Rotterdam. I like Rotterdam too. Yeah, I have. And I do like going out, or like, I enjoy concerts abroad because Americans don't. I like concerts abroad. And that's it with Amsterdam. So this is why I entitled this live Stories About Your City. Drop your city or state or country. I probably have a story about the place. So if I recognize it, I will share that story about said place. And that was the story of my first trip as a flight attendant. So Dallas, what is the last story that I can remember? Oh, Montreal, West Virginia. Driving through West Virginia is quite a shock because when I lived in Northern Virginia, there is a difference. There is a difference. There is a difference between Virginia and West Virginia. And it reminded me of the foothills and the mountains here in California. And that's all I'll say about that. So, oh, this is a good story about LA. Now, my father is originally from LA, so half of my family was in LA. So I would spend holidays, Christmas or Thanksgiving, with my aunt or my uncle or my grandparents in LA. Or we would go to LA to go to museums and things because I was raised in the Central Valley of California, but my father was born and raised in LA. And I I have a lot of stories about LA because it's an interesting place. Chico, one of my best friends, is from there. So there is two stories. The first story is, this is when I was based in London. So I was based out of Heathrow, and I lived in London for about 7 years. And when I was based in Heathrow, continue to like and share the lives. Let's get these likes up. Tap the screen. We're at 1.5. Tapping the screen. We're getting as high as we can go. I'm shooting for 100,000 likes, or until my phone battery dies. That's how long I will talk. And we'll get there. I know we will. So the first story is, I was based in London, and once I got to a certain seniority, I would only fly 4 times a month. So when I was based in London, I would work London to LA. So you work to LA, you lay over for like a day and a half, and then you come back. That was it. There was no multiple legs. It was just like that. And we would change hotels because sometimes flight attendants would get drunk and pee on themselves in the lobby, and we would get kicked out of that hotel. Like, that happens. These, or I have stories of flight attendants like stealing things like a toaster, or like ridiculous things, and we would get kicked out of the hotel. Flight attendants, yeah, stumbling in drunk into the lobby, falling on a table, breaking the flower arrangements, peeing on themselves, like craziness. And I So we didn't actually stay in LA. We actually stayed in Long Beach. And we were at the hotel in Long Beach, which was quite nice. Thank you for sharing the live. Continue to like the live. And this was around Christmas time. Now, when I lived in London, I would do a lot of my shopping in the US on my layovers, and I would take it back to London because I loved Tide detergent, which is not sold in the UK. So I would buy that. I would buy like socks from Target because I was living full time in the UK. So I said, well, on this layover, I'm going to go get my nails done, get a manicure, pedicure, and then swing and get like a package of Fruit of the Loom socks and some things from Target or Walmart, something like that. It was near our hotel. So I went and got my manicure, pedicure, and then I walked over to this Walmart. Now, again, I don't, there's this whole thing of I only do Target, I only do Walmart. I don't have that allegiance because I was only there for a short amount of time. I was not living in the US. So if there was a Walmart near the layover hotel, I would just go to the Walmart. I had no shame. I would get what I need to get, take it on the flight, and work back to London and go to my home in London. So I went to this Walmart in London. And as you know, when you walk into Walmart, you have walked into a completely different side of life. It is a different world. It is a different frequency. It is different. And I was reminded of that in this trip because this was near Christmas time. I remember it was December, and I went in and I would go get the Fruit of the Loom socks from the men's section. And as I'm looking, it's like an 8 package of socks. As I'm looking for the socks, I see this dude that's tatted up, like tatted up. His whole face has tattoos, his neck, his arms, he's completely covered in tattoos. I notice him, I keep doing what I'm doing. But then I notice he's actually taking packages of Fruit of the Loom crew neck shirts, like those white shirts, and like stuffing them in his shirt and then stuffing them in his pants, like blatantly stealing right in front of me. So I'm kind of like, okay, this is, I don't know if this is a setup. I don't know if there's cameras around because I'm just here to get my socks. And this guy is clearly stuffing packages of t-shirts in his trousers and in his shirt. And he's tatted up and he looks like a character from like Fast and the Furious. And what does this mean? It almost puts me into an existential crisis. What does this mean? Why am I experiencing this? But I see nothing, I say nothing until said man who is stuffing his pants with the shirts said, hey, you on that Thug Thizzle? I was like, what? I don't even know what a Thug Thizzle. I said, nah, man, nah, I don't even know. He's like, all right. And he keeps stuffing his pants. And I said, all right, life, thank you. This is hilarious. And now it's time for me to leave. Life, thank you. This is hilarious. And now it's time for me to leave. Because I don't know what I just witnessed. I don't know what that Thug Thizzle is. And it's time for me to leave because as I was walking out of the section, the gentleman was talking about how he's going to take whatever he wants, and I'm all for it. I just need to now remove myself from this, which I did. And I walked back to the hotel. Thank you for the follow. And thank you for the follow, da Chloe. I walked back to the hotel a bit in shock and awe of what I had experienced. That is one story. Another story, LA, there's a lot of stories. Actually, there's quite a few stories. Back to like when I was with a friend who liked to be with artists. So we would drive up from Central California and go to like the MTV Movie Awards when it was still a thing, and Hollywood and Highland. And um, it was really cool. It was quite a time. But here's another layover story. LA trip. In fact, it wasn't even LA. We were laying over in Orange County. And one of the crew members from my flight said, "Hey, Hope, my friend is having a fashion show on Sunset. Are you up for renting a car and driving to go see her show? She's showing at the Standard on Sunset." I was like, "Of course I'm going to go. Of course, of course, of course." Thank you, Rainbow Bright 5419, for the follow. So we land in Orange County. We rent a car, which we received discounts for being crew members. We received a discount and we drove from Orange for being crew members. We received a discount and we drove from Orange. So I believe the person who I went with had told me something about how I told her I don't drink. And she says, "Oh, that's great. I wish I could do that. I kind of struggle with drinking because when I drink a lot." And I said, "I understand that. That is what it is." And we rented like a convertible Mustang. And we made the agreement that I would drive there, drive to LA from Orange County, and she would drive back. And so we drove up to LA and we get to the Standard and we valet the car and we go see her friends, and it was cool. She gave us samples. It was great. There was food, there was drinks. It was great. However, thank you, E and MG, for the follow. I started to see the drinking when we were at the Standard, and I was like, okay, all right. She's supposed to drive back. Ain't no way she's going to be able to drive back. And after the fashion show, her friends, the designer, they said, "Well, let's go back to someone had a beautiful apartment overlooking the city and have more drinks and food." Thank you for the follow, Golden Girl 7. And she said, "Okay." And I said, "I'm all for it. However, we do have to work back. And so I just want to be on the same page about like leaving at like, I don't know, midnight, because I want to sleep." She said, "Yeah, let's do that." So we ended up going to the friend's house and hanging out, drinking more, drinking to the point where she couldn't stand up. And her friend got in an argument. And I'm already frustrated because I was like, all right, I communicated what my expectation was, and this person just doesn't care about that because now it's like 2 in the morning and I will have to drive back, and I am tired, and now I'm frustrated because I also have to carry this person back and put them in the car. And that's where I learned sometimes just say no to the invite, because I drove up there and then I drove back, and I wasn't even able to express my discontent because the girl was passed out in the car as we drove back from LA to Orange County, which was long. And the flight back, I had said, "Listen, I don't ever want to go out with you again because that was uncomfortable. I'm tired and I understand. I just got to voice this." Little did I know that I was not going to listen to myself. Because a few years later, we actually went out on another layover and something similar happened. So any other cities or states or countries, because put the city or state, I'll think of a story because I'm a storyteller, I'm a speaker. I can always think of a story from a place. Uh, Thank you, GMob53. I appreciate that. Yeah, experience is a good teacher and it also brings confidence. I have said this before. I fear nothing because I take life on. Ooh, yeah, I have some good stories about Seattle, which I shared, but I'm going to share again because it's a great story. Um, I want the experience because that's all it is experience. I don't want the story. I want the experience. I want the experience through the story as I live it. So, Seattle has a few interesting points because, and so does Buffalo. Exactly, yes. Seattle is had some in Seattle energy wise brings interesting stories for me because in Seattle I had the instance where the person who had substance abuse and who was possibly unhoused. I was walking with my new towels and sheets near the Space Needle and they tried to grab my arm like, hey, come here. And I did a spin and I had to run away. That happened. Then I had that weird random date in Seattle where I was working a flight from, yeah, I love the Pacific Northwest. I love Seattle. I love Portland. I love all of that. Right. So I was on a flight working to, from New York to Seattle. And just a minute. Working from New York to Seattle. And as I'm working in economy, I'm doing the galleon economy, I see this guy in first class. Thank you, Shortcake, for the follow. And I recognize him. And continue to like and share the live. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I see this guy and I'm like, I notice this guy. Like I recognize this guy, but I'm at the back of the plane. And as I'm working the flight, I see this person talking to someone across the aisle. Thank you, Seneca Marks, for the follow. And I know the aisle. Thank you, Seneca Marks, for the follow. And I notice that I know him, like I've gone out with him. And I'm like, what? Who's that guy in that three-piece suit? Because when I knew him, I had never seen him in suits. He was somewhat casual of a dresser. So halfway during the flight, I finally walk up to first class and walk past him just to double check, like, is this the person I think I know? And it was. Thank you for the follow, Giovanna Ross, for the follow. What's up, Mike? I noticed it was him. So I walk to the back and I tell the other flight attendant, like, hey, I know this guy in first class in the three-piece suit. He's suited and booted. He has on these, like, they look like custom-made brogues and a well-tailored suit, which I know because of my father, and I love a well-tailored suit. I love tailoring. And I said, I know this guy. She was like, really? I said, I do. But, like, he doesn't recognize me. He doesn't know me, but I know him. She was like, okay. So I say, well, let me just go talk to him. And so I walk up to first class, and this is en route to Seattle. And I kneel next to his seat and I say hi. And he turns, he's like, hello. And I'm like, this is strange. And I know you. I met you probably 10, 12 years ago in the West Village in New York. He was like, really? I said, yeah. And we talked and we exchanged contacts. And I think we even went out. And he was like, is that right? I said, yes. I am the lady you dream about. That's it. And I said, so I'm perplexed because I've been walking past and it seems like you don't notice me. He said, what is your name? I said, Hope. He said, Hope, you're probably right. I said, what? He said, I was in a serious car accident and I actually died. I was in a coma for several months. And so I don't have memories past a certain time. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, it's true. There was a well-known comedian that Aries Spears. You know what? Not Aries Spears. Who was it? The one from the last OG. And I see his face. Tracy Morgan. So remember, Tracy Morgan was in a fatal accident with a Walmart truck. And Tracy Morgan was seriously injured. I mean, he almost transitioned. Well, this person was also in that vehicle. He was like, remember when Tracy Morgan got in that car accident? I was actually there too. And I was like, it's like mind blown. Like, what? He was like, yeah. So are you laying over in Seattle? I said, yeah. He said, well, how about we go out to dinner while you're here in Seattle? I'm here for a friend's wedding. Are you able? Let's go out to eat. I said, of course. So I'm like mind blown because I'm like, this can't be life. And it was true. He had actually like, he had no, not me. No, not me. The person I'm talking to. It wasn't me. So we met up and it wasn't him. It was the driver of the, why am I responding to you? So we met, we went to like the rehearsal dinner or it was something pertaining to the wedding of the friend that he was going to Seattle for. And then we went out and got something to eat. And he continued to tell me, yeah, I was like essentially not here. I was like in a coma and I came back and it was quite traumatic because you're just kind of out of it for several months. But now I am back and it was a difficult transition and he had told me how it was with all of that. It was quite a fascinating story, but imagine that. So here's the moral of the story. Don't imagine that someone's just ignoring you. There may be a reason why. They may have gotten hit from a like truck and been like in a coma because that happened. And that was in Seattle. And yeah. Someone actually transitioned with that. But yeah, he was annoying. He was annoying. I do remember that because he was annoying before and he was annoying then still. And I remember he was just annoying. He was like, yeah, when we get back to New York, let's go out and I'll get the best tickets for a show on Broadway. I was like, well, it doesn't matter if they're the best tickets because you'll be there. So if you're going to be there, I don't want to be there. Seattle. What else in Seattle? So the other thing, Seattle has quite an energy. That is where I had my emergency landing that led to the TED Talk, that led to me leaving the airline and moving to Hawaii and starting my process of speaking. So Seattle is interesting in that regard because, yeah, I've had some interesting stories with Seattle. I love the thrift stores in Seattle as well because there's so many great thrift stores. And in Portland, I would pick up trips because I think it's I think it's Oregon State, it's no sales tax. And a lot of their thrift stores, because of Beaverton, Oregon is the Nike headquarters, I would thrift specifically in Portland because Nike would donate tons of products to the thrift stores in Portland. So I would go get all of my Nike dry fit from all of the thrift stores. It was fantastic. That, as well as Patagonia, and yeah, for Portland. And also with Portland, I had said this before, I had laid over twice. During the, yeah, I had the method because I was always there. And um, it's one of my, I like the Pacific Northwest. I like it everywhere. I would like more likes, actually. We got to start liking this live. Thank you for the follow, Malfini Logics CPG. Portland, I laid over twice during the naked bike ride. Yes, you can Google it. There is a naked bike ride in Portland, Oregon. Meaning, thank you, one. I was like, maybe it's like semi-nude. No. Butts on bike seats, balls, like it is a naked bike ride. And it's thousands of people. And where we would lay over close to, I think it's Pearltown, but like near downtown, where the naked bike ride would start. And it was really a naked bike ride. And I just thought of chafing and discomfort. It wasn't scary. It was kind of cool to see. It just was like naked bike ride and drinking beer. And thank you, Winston Jones, for the follow. Just a naked bike ride. And I saw it twice, and I would just see this blur of body hair and butts and guts and bikes. And I love to cycle, but that was like an experience. Yeah, that was an experience, the naked bike ride. I thought, is that something I would ever want to do? Because I do have these lists of things I would want to do. That I don't believe is something I would like to participate in. A naked bike ride. No. Just for the pure mechanical element. A naked bike ride does not seem like it would be comfortable. Exactly. That is one of the best explanations. Yeah, Jeff. But listen, you could actually say I did that. I was in the naked bike ride. Yeah, riding a bike naked, sure. I'm all for lack of clothes. I think it's the simplest, freest, most comfortable way to be, but not on a bike. Thank you, Pebbles, for sharing the live. And I remember, I have to laugh because some of these stories are hilarious. I remember when I shared for months when I lived on the East Coast, specifically New York or New Jersey. I'm not sticking around that side of the country during December, January, or February. Thank you for the follow, Ronnie. It's disgusting. It's cold. The first snow, beautiful, but then it turns into yellow snow and brown snow, and you slip and you bust your butt, and you gotta no, I would leave. So I would always complete my flying schedule by December 20th. I would come to California. Brown snow, yeah, from dirt or from dog poo, just whatever. So I would finish my flying schedule by December 20th, come out to California because I always told my mom I would be home for Christmas. I couldn't always ensure Thanksgiving because my birthday at times falls on Thanksgiving. And I'm probably going to be oiled up on some foreign beach not at home eating turkey, but I will give you Christmas because I know how important it is for you to have the whole family around for Christmas. So every year, except for 1 year during my 15 years as a flight attendant, I was always home for Christmas. No exceptions. But after Christmas, I would usually go somewhere warm. I would not go back to the East Coast. I would go hide out in some place in Mexico or West Africa or Caribbean somewhere because it just was way too cold January and February. And usually most of March. I am usually most of March. Um, Not that cold yet. You're only in the beginning of January, my friend. Let's wait till the end of this month and next month. Yeah, new as I've said, Ronnie, my sister lives in New York. She's a lover of New York. I love New I can do a long stay in New York. I can do 90 days, like spring, early summer, when it's not sweltering hot, when people are still there, where just beautiful, beautiful restaurants and going, taking walks on the water and boat, all of that. But the entire year, absolutely not. Thank you, CNVV, for the follow. I don't want to be there 365 days a year. That's insane. However, I also don't want to be anywhere for 365 days a year because I really haven't. So well, no, Hawaii, I can. I pop in and out, but there's never a bad time weather-wise in Hawaii. I see, I see. Yeah, New York is great. So I would leave, and often I would go to Mexico because I love Mexico. I've always loved Mexican culture. Um, Being from California, my father being from, okay, the Yay area, my father being from LA. I love Mexican food. I would love to hear my father speak his LA Spanish, and we as a family would go. So there's somewhat of a connection. So I would not go to these touristy towns because I don't want to be where the Americans are. I also don't want to be where tourists are because that's not fun. That is created for the tourist. And I am a traveling local. So I would often fly into the largest airport, whether it be Merida or Cancun or Puerto Vallarta, and take the colectivo, which is like the local bus or buses that will take you to other cities. And I would take that to like some beautiful fishing village and like just chill for the month or for a few weeks and go out to the beach and go to my fruit man with the donkey and like just speak Spanish and eat great food and meet people and check out from the East Coast. So there were times where my sister from California would fly out and meet me. And I was staying in San Pancho, Mexico, which is also called San Francisco, Mexico. It's on the Pacific side, so the water is a bit cooler compared to the Caribbean side. And I loved it. It was just this little village. And my sister came to meet me. In these places, a lot of people just get around by catching a ride in someone's truck. So if you needed to go to Puerto Vallarta, which was the larger city, and someone had a truck and they were going to Puerto Vallarta, you could say, hey, can I hop in your truck bed and hitch a ride? Or I'm going in this direction. Can I hitch a ride and then jump out? Maybe, Ronnie, maybe you're onto something. Maybe you are. So I would do that because I'm really a traveling local. I'm not afraid. And what's there to be afraid of? I'm hope, everyone loves me, and I'm always good. So I would say, hey, are you going into the city? Yeah, I am. Okay. So my sister came, we got on the Collectivo, we came to it was like an Airbnb. I rented a home on the main street and it was really like a street. That was it. It wasn't a town. The whole town is one long street, where you have a few restaurants, you have a small convenience store, you have like a small liquor store, you have like a cleaners. It's very self-contained. And I said, okay, Sam, tomorrow we will go back to Sayulita and we'll hitch a ride. And she was like, okay, what's up? Isla loves Mean Girls. So I said, come on. So you have to walk out from the street I was staying on to like the main road, which was maybe 10 minutes because this is all like not even really paved. And I saw a truck and I waved this truck down, and it's this windy road through like this rainforest. It's beautiful and curvy and insane. And I say, hey, can I hitch a ride? I'm heading to Sayulita. Sure, yes, hop in, hop in. So I jump in. Now, my sister is only adventurous because I am adventurous. And she is already thinking like, what the heck am I doing hopping in a random truck bed in some seaside beach town in wherever I was in, San Pancho. But she just hops in. Now, side note, before we hopped into the truck bed to go to Sayulita, which is the next town over from Puerto Vallarta, I believe, we stopped at this small like coffee shop, and I was drinking coffee at the time. I love coffee outside the US. I don't think Americans make a great cup of coffee. However, at that time I was drinking coffee, and I remember because I grabbed some coffee and I added a little milk, but I didn't get the top for the coffee. So I have a coffee cup, no lid, getting in a truck bed on a windy road. I get in the truck bed, I sit down. My sister hops in the truck bed. She's like sitting next to me. And another local woman gets on the truck bed, looks like she's a nurse. She's in an all white uniform going to the next city to go to work. Good night. First, my sister, there you go. I don't drink coffee. It gives me the shakes and I'm already like full of energy. Thank you for continuing to like the live. We're just at 10,000. This is great. So my sister's not spatially paying attention. She has a backpack and she's like, move, Hope. And she turns and her backpack actually hits my coffee. So my coffee cup, like the coffee spills out of the coffee cup. And I'm like, yo, you have to be aware that your backpack, you're unaware of your space, and you just knocked this coffee out that actually spilled on the lady in the white uniform. I'm like, oh, lo siento, lo siento. Yeah, the backpack. So now the driver of this truck is putting the pedal to the metal, and we are truly on like this road on a mountain in the rainforest in Mexico. He's like, Scar! Scar! My sister is trying to hold on to the truck bed like, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And I'm just there like, do, with this open coffee cup that's splashing all over me. And the poor woman who's going to work that's now covered in my coffee cup. I still don't know why I didn't get a top to my coffee. My sister still says, why didn't you just get a top to your coffee? I don't know, but our butts were bouncing around the truck bed. Now we made it, and we made it quickly. And my sister said, I'll never do that again. And I said, it doesn't matter if you do it again. You did it once. And that is inspired by just New York, because the winters, it's gross. It is gross, it is gross, it is gross. That's when you have to escape to somewhere warm. You can seriously injure yourself by slipping on the ice. Yeah, that was a great story though. Then my sister We have a lot of great stories because we've traveled together. Um, was that the story? There was a few different ones because when she graduated from college, I said, "Where do you want to go?" And she was like, "Well, I don't know. What's up? Okay, Moss Point, Mississippi. Thank you, Lady Giselle." I said, "Where do you want to go?" As the flight attendant's sister, you pick where you want to go. I'll pay, we'll get on the flight, I'll get the hotel, like, I'll take care of everything. Everything. Your dinners, a little shopping, like, listen, I'm here. Whatever you like, it's really like that. This is your present for graduating college. And we were supposed to go to somewhere in Belize, but the flights were full. So I said, okay, we're already at this airport. I think we met in LAX and we had our stuff packed. And I said, let's just look at the board and pick somewhere. And I'll figure it out because I'm the best at getting a hotel. And there's only certain hotels I stay in. And I like to stay in my nice hotels. And so I think that was when we went to Tulum. But it had to be. But I don't think I've been back to Tulum since like 2012. It was already getting a bit uh, touristy for me because I used to go years ago. But we did do that where I said pick a place. And I did that with my niece, where I said just pick a place and I'll take care of everything. And yeah, it was Tulum because I think we definitely did that. We did the cenotes. We went thrift shopping. We just chilled. It wasn't about doing things, it's about like experiencing. And that was a good trip. And when traveling, you can observe that everyone does things differently. So, my sister was saying how interesting it was being in cars in Italy because stop signs and the red and green lights are just a suggestion. A stop sign doesn't mean stop in Italy. It just means you can if you want to. But it doesn't actually mean stop. And it can be frightening because it is quite a different experience. Same thing in Mexico. We were in this cab. Exactly. Mission accomplished. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We were in this cab who was going fast, but I don't really pay attention. That's nothing I can control. If a cab driver is driving fast, I'm not afraid because nothing's going to happen to me. However, thank you, Zach Black, for the heart me. I can't control how fast someone's going. So for me to turn my energy to that and say, this is scary, they need to slow down, I'm good. Nah, I just shift my energy away from it. Like they have been driving for 30 years, this cab. I trust them. Not my sister. She shouts, you slow down! And I'm like, hey, he knows where he's going. Like, you don't need to shout, slow down. He knows where he's going. He did slow down, though. And I don't really pay attention to when someone's transporting me somewhere. I assume I will get there safely. And that cab story, I have a few interesting cab stories. So I do remember there was a time in Chicago when I was there during training. Thank you, TG. I was there during training and I was there for 2 months, so April and May. And the guy who was sitting next to me on my flight to training, we went out to dinner a few times. He showed me around Chicago. Thank you, TG, for the follow. And we went out to eat and we were going somewhere after the dinner. And we were in a cab. So we might have been near Bluetown or Blue something. I can't quite remember all of the areas in Chicago. But this I love that. I love when someone says that. And I'm always the one, thank you, that will pick you up or take you to the airport at any time because I've had such a life at the airport. It's a part of my duty. And I never feel I am the person you can always ask to pick you up or drop you off. So, this cab driver, after our date in Chicago, was going so fast and he hit the brakes. And I remember the partition from the back seat to the front seat. You know, there's that like glass, that partition. He had the partition open. And when he hit the brakes, my head like went through that open part of the plastic. And I remember my date saying, "Whoa, slow down, guy," because I like went through that partition. That was hilarious. And another funny cab story. I was with my sister. This was summertime in New York. And I had some options for that day. So I had an option of meeting up with a friend who was in the music industry and probably going to some showcase or a music event. And there was someone else where there was another option. However, my sister said, let's go out to eat because she was going out to eat with her partner, her boyfriend at the time. And I thought, well, that could be cool. Then afterwards, maybe I can, other plans will happen. Thank you, Alton Crooks, for the follow. So I am beautifully dressed in some beautiful dress, and we meet in Lower Manhattan. I think we met near Soho-ish. And she was with her boyfriend, and we found a restaurant to eat at. And so we eat, me, my sister, and her boyfriend, and then the meal is done. I think it was awkward, but I'm not sure. I just remember when the bill came, my sister handed me my portion, and then she handed her portion to her boyfriend, and I was in shock. And I was like, what is going on? Why did you invite me to a dinner that wasn't even paid for? And knowing me, you would know my response would be of this. If this was the case, I wouldn't have came out with y'all. I already had some other plans. And I'm embarrassed that you feel that this is okay. Why would your boyfriend invite me to okay, what here? And you, as my sister, this is like ridiculous. So we were off from that. And afterwards, we all decided, thank you, Mac Linda Untained. Afterwards, we were all planning on going back uptown. So all three of us grabbed a cab and we were going back uptown in Manhattan. But we were on the West Side Highway and we were like swaying like this from side to side. I was like, what the heck is going on? Now, in the back seat, it is myself, my sister, and her boyfriend. But again, we're on the West Side Highway and this driver is like swerving and I'm looking and he's like doing this. The guy was like asleep. Okay, so his eyes are closed and he's like doing this, driving on the West Side Highway. That's why the cab was swaying from side to side. And I was like, yo, I'm telling my sister, like, this guy is like asleep. We need to get out of this cab. This is why we're swaying from side to side on the West Side Highway in Manhattan. This is crazy. My thought was, it is just time to get out of this vehicle. The goal is to get out, not to instruct the person why they shouldn't have picked us up. I'm about to be not on this plane because this dude is playing. He's going back and forth. What's up, Marquita? So my sister had a different thought, and her thought was telling the man why he shouldn't have picked us up. You shouldn't have picked us up if you were tired. You shouldn't have picked us up. This is unsafe. I was like, yo, that is not doing anything. The goal is to get out of here because we're about to get out of here. If this guy keeps hitting them Z's, he's like he is actually doing like this. Like it looked like Weekend at Bernie's. And I think I just said like, hey, pull over, pull over, pull over on the West Side Highway. Just let me out. Let me out because this is insane. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm not here to tell you that you shouldn't have picked us up because I need to get my butt out. I don't care what my sister says. I don't care what her man said. I need to get out of here. And he did pull over. And I don't remember. Yeah, because he was like swaying from side to side. That was hilarious. There may be other cab stories because we have lots of cab stories. Nothing really even abroad that would be special. Some of the stories with the cab drivers are hilarious, but the best cab drivers, New York has its own cab culture compared to Chicago cab culture, compared to DC cab culture. What's up, retired Leo Lawrence? And there's always great stories from these cab drivers compared to the UK. Now, a black cab in the UK, it takes years to get your certification to be a black cab driver in the UK because you actually have to know every street in London. It takes years. People study for years. And so they're all a certain age. You don't see black cab drivers, meaning the cab is actually black, not the driver. The cab is a black cab. It's known in the UK. And because it takes years, most of the people are of a particular age and they just have a way about them, and the culture is really interesting. And the cabbies, there was a time where I would you buy it? What would you want to know? If I were to write a book, what are the stories you want to hear? Because I do have tons of all of these stories. And maybe this will help me. I'm gathering, I'm sourcing for the ideas. Yes, a sea of yellow. I'm sourcing for the ideas of what you would want to hear in my book. What I learned, the travel stories, the romantic stories, which are the best. Because as I said, I love leaving a man in the country that I found him. And even dating in every country is different. Do not expect the cultural norms of where you are accustomed to be what it is around the world. Because it is not. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Oh, and that's another thing. I've seen people, Marquita, listen, that's what I do. Listen, maybe it'll just inspire you, or if you just enjoy listening. And today I'm at 40% on my phone now. I'm talking until my phone gets to 1%. And my goal, which is huge and aspirational, we're at 10,000 to get to 100,000 likes. I have never done it, and why not? So I'm at 40% now. Keep tapping the screen. I want this live to be my most liked live. And I'm at 39% now. Thank you, Antoinette Larue, for the follow. So, I remember, What's another great cab story? There's great cab stories like from Paris or like in Senegal, because anywhere in West Africa, I love the speaking to. I always just like talking to people. Thank you, Jeff Newell, for the follow. I love speaking to cab drivers. I love speaking to the people at the hotels because we interact with so many people. There's such interesting stories. And I like talking to interesting people because I'm interesting. And I'm interesting because I have the courage and I take the chance just to talk to another human being, just to try something, just to go up somewhere. That's what I'm here to spread. Wilka is loved. That's what I'm here to spread, the good energy. My words are weighted. So I remember speaking to, it's always like, oh, where are you coming from? And it's like, oh, geez, how about everywhere? Like, I've been everywhere. I was just here last week. This isn't my first time here. And I can respond to you in French, which gives that other layer. Zero, 0 degrees, Richard. None. And that's the other thing. Knowledge is great, and I have knowledge because I've just aspired in life, and I've done things, and I've tried things, and I've learned from things. Notice I didn't say fail. There is no fail. There's only the lesson. And I don't weight, I weight knowledge heavier than education. There's a difference. There is a space for both. Knowledge is actionable. Knowledge is useful. Education can be. And there's things that we learn. I just see that social systems and learning how to navigate in any social structure will carry you further. Me, without my degrees, I'm more likely to be hired than most people just because I'll jump in. There's nothing that scares me. I'll learn it. I'm adaptable. I know the Celsius system. I'm multilingual. Like, I don't feel stuck in doing one thing. I've done many things. And I enjoy the art of learning something. And with school, I remember going, and the first 2 years of college, I knew I did not, yes, I am. I did not think that college was ever necessary for me to be successful in my life experience. And here's why. I enjoy learning, and I'm safe to be in any space. So with that, there's nothing that I can't do because everything in life is learned. I enjoy learning. I know how I learn best. And because I know everything in life is learned, there's nothing that I cannot learn. Furthermore, I don't have, well, Wilka is loved. Possibly, sure. That's one way of seeing it. That may be for one social structure. From all of my travels, I don't see that as the constant blanket for the entire world. It's not. And this is why I'm somewhat so malleable and open. What's up, the God particle? Because that could be one way, but that's not how it is in Sweden. That's not how it is in Korea. That's not how it is in Brazil. That's not how it is in South America or South Africa. It depends where you are. We are in a country, referring to the US, where teachers are one of the lowest paid professions. If you go somewhere like Japan, where teachers are one of the highest paid professions, and you see how society responds to that and how highly revered education and teachers are. So, for your statement to say that modern schooling just trains us to be a robot, possibly, sure. I don't see that to be true in every realm. And that's where I started saying, well, sure. It's not an argument. It's just when I ask myself, is this true 100% of the time? No, it's just one outlook, and that's okay. And that's the beauty of exploring. Yeah, but the richest country is still the US. Switzerland is a great, listen, I love Switzerland. I love Switzerland. I love Switzerland. And even that, I don't, it it's, it depends on your exposure. And it depends on what you want to see in life. My father would say the first schooling is at home. So it didn't matter what I learned in school because I had a forum to learn at home. And I was encouraged to learn, and we read books, and we would go to the library, and we would go to museums, and would watch and talk about documentaries together, and we would talk about history and family history. So it didn't matter what was spoken about in school because I had school with the parents. And in that, I am able to discern what's important and what's not. There's just certain things that you learn that actually aren't actionable or important. And yeah, home is the first place of learning. I knew that. I also know I can pick up things pretty quickly. And I know I can pick up things quickly. I know how to shut things out and focus. Like there's a method to learning. And a lot of it just comes from discipline. If I got to learn it, me learning languages is very easy. Thank you, Danny Britton 278 for the follow. As long as I'm immersed in that language, the book lessons that I had for French in school, I remember particles. However, my language was perfected when I was immersed in French speaking people. Yeah, let's talk about it. Self healing. I mean, I would even take out the self because healing is healing. You're always healing yourself. It's the goal is never to heal others. And all of my sisters, we have similarities and we're different. I am noticing now because we're all here together. I haven't I've been traveling and out of the country or just out of, yeah, really out of the country, but out of the realm of what would be what I grew up in. So I'm different in that way. But I don't know. Everyone's different. We have similarities and we're different. We live in different cities and different states. We have different professions. So I don't see anything as like black and white. There's gray areas. We all sound the same. Whenever we answer the phone, people assume it's we're all the same. Like I sound like my mom. I sound like all my other sisters. So I don't think anyone is opposite, but maybe we are. We're like adults and we're all in our own worlds. But I'm definitely the most stylish and the best and the most traveled. And I have one book. I just got a book from this little book nook where I take my sexy walks. And I saw this book and I just reach in whatever book, exactly. Yeah, they're cool, I guess. Whatever book my hand touches, I grab. And the book is entitled How to Be Married by Joe something. And so one book a week, I'm back to that. So that's my book for this week. And it's just the art of reading anything. It doesn't have to stick to anything. It's the art of just reading because that means I have to sit down and I have to focus and I have to read word by word and digest that. So it's thank you, now Will, for the follow. It is like a meditation. And a lot of this is focusing my brain and being able to say, no, brain, this is what you're doing. I control my brain, not the other way around. And I remember someone saying, well, I can't control myself. If that is the case, number one, stop saying that. And number two, if that is the case, you're in life may be difficult because you can. You have so much more control over yourself. But the act of controlling yourself is the lesson. And that's with me and someone else driving. I don't care how they drive, that's not under my control. If their driving is that detrimental to my health, I probably won't step in the car. But once I do, I accept that I'm not in control of the car. I'm not looking at directions. I'm not telling them to slow down. I'm not, that's them. I stay out of that. I don't contribute to things that are out of my control. And I also say that's the source of anxiety. When your energy goes into things that you feel you can control that aren't in your control. Leave it alone. Back to Switzerland, which I love. I used to fly a lot of Zurich, which is Zurich, the German side of Switzerland, and Genève, which I love, Geneva, which is the French side of Switzerland. I remember, it's the truth, because a lot of you, I'm upset at this and you should do this. You have to learn that you are in control of you. And here's another tip. How you feel about how I show up in the world has nothing to do with me. Well, I don't like that you were late. Okay. What does that have to do with me? You not liking that I'm late actually isn't anything. It's you're sharing your discontent. Now, are you requesting that I show up early? Or regardless, that's actually for you to sit with. That has nothing to do with me. How you feel about how I show up in the world has nothing to do with me. And that makes life very easy. And this also comes from me just flying. There were far too many things that if I allowed my attention to go to these things, I would have lost it. No, it's okay. It's all right. Someone's up. They don't have their seatbelt on. I will let them know, sir, you should have your seatbelt on. However, maybe they're having an emergency and they need to get to the toilet. I don't know. I say it once and then it's out of my control. I'm always loved. That's what I journal every day, that I am love, I am loved, I am loving, and I am a lover. And I have been loved, and I am loved, and I'm always loved, and I'm still loved. And I'm also loved by afar from individuals. So yes, Richard, what's your next question? What is there not to love? That's what I say. What is there not to love? And I remember a family member saying how everyone likes me. And I thought, yeah, what's not to love? It's also because people don't see me. I would travel a lot. I wouldn't always show up like in family events because I don't care to. So when I do, and when I come around, it's a great time. I have great stories. I'm a great time. I'm a kick in the pants. Of course. What's not to love? People love me. I'm here. Tell you a great story. Make you a great drink. What else we need? And I remember when I was living in London, a friend of mine was seeing this guy. That's right, Richard. Send me some real roses. Send me like 100 real roses because I love flowers. Yes, and I love the love from a distance. I do. Because I've always said it will take a grand gesture because there are the gentlemen that come on to my lives and say like, do you like people who have green bedspreads? Here's the thing. If you have to ask, you aren't it, because the person that is aligned for me or attracted to me and is in that realm where they could be around me would know that they could have me. They would not have to ask permission. Like, do you like a guy that wears brown shoes? Nah, he would know, like, I can get Hope. I know. Yeah, there's that. And if I don't see you, I don't see you. I just don't. You hear me talk about my dad. He set a great example. I'm very smart. I have a great picker. Because I see a lot of y'all, I wouldn't even listen to you. Your pickers are terrible. The people that you pick to bring into your life as a relationship, wow. Stop and ask. I remember, thank you, continue to like the live. I remember a friend was like, oh, well, he's not my type. I have a type. I said, how's that type thing? How's that working out for you? How is it working out for you? She said, well, oh, it's not. Well, maybe you should let go of that because most human beings are terrible at choosing a partner. Well, I don't know about that. What is compatibility? What does that mean to you? I don't know. What is happiness to you? I don't know. I know for me, my happiness comes in my freedom, my time freedom, my financial freedom, my ability to feel supported. I don't know. I don't care to control or make someone do anything. I don't care. Thank you, Richard, for the follow. But compatibility, that you both eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, most of the time you're looking for the most menial things, like, well, they have to be this tall and they have to, that has nothing to do with choosing a partner. Actually, it's all about their personality. I don't care about you can have I don't know what a vice has to do with anything. I don't care about that. I assume that. I know that. Do you see? I've lived. I'm not saying this person can't do this. I don't care how you show up. Just show up. I'm here to observe you and respect and love you in that way. Not, I got to change that person. I am not that. I will not do that. In fact, I only will see a person that shows up in their most authentic space. You're not doing something for my appeasement. You're showing up as you. But most of you don't even know you because you're afraid to put yourself in situations where you have to grow into a new version of you. So you wouldn't ever be able to stand next to me because I would frighten you. I've seen a great example of a relationship. That's also why I'm not rushing into commitment. And my father would say, you know, people don't really think about forever because forever is a long time. You could say that, but you don't understand what forever is. And most have conditions. They have conditions on how they see you. Heaven. I'm from heaven, Billy Roberts. I will be with this person until they do X, Y, and Z. Well, yeah, well, I don't know I only know the people I've engaged with. I don't know. I have met really authentic people. So I don't know about that opposite, but someone who wouldn't be authentic probably wouldn't be pulled towards me. I may make them uncomfortable because I'm really authentic, so it would resonate. Thank you, Richard. I also am content within my space. Being a flight attendant, I was always with myself and I loved it. I was never, should I travel by myself? I love traveling by myself. I loved going out without my crew and exploring and doing this and that. So my own space, I enjoy. And I remember a partner saying, the worst part is you're breaking up with me and it's not even for someone else. You're breaking up with me to just like be with yourself. And I thought that was like it was just interesting because, yeah, I'm not leaving you for someone else. This is no longer for me. And I'm okay with myself. It doesn't have to be you or someone else. I'm my favorite. I am the best. I elevate you. And I am okay with that. I really enjoy my space. Like, I don't really crave a partner. And when I thank you for the follow, Elegant Woman, because I'm an elegant woman myself. No, they're all giving. I mean, you can, some, it works until it doesn't. Like, it doesn't have to be anything big, but if I don't feel like the relationship is for me, it just isn't for me. And as I said, I don't know what many people do. I only know what I do. So possibly, but I don't, it's not that big of a deal for me to be with someone. If I am attracted to you and it's a natural process, it will happen. But I don't have the thought process of I have to be with someone. I either am for a long time and then I'm not for a long time. And I enjoy both. And I enjoy being with myself and setting my goals. And when I went skydiving for my birthday, that was on my own. And when I did all of these things, it's just like I meet people all the time and I have great friends and I have a love for and with myself. I have a great time when I'm at my home cooking or going hiking or surfing or writing or speaking and planning my year and my life. Like, it's okay. When that timing happens where the person aligns, I am ready. And in the meantime, I'm having fun. I don't really think too much about it. It's not like, oh my gosh, this person, you know? Yeah, adventure is great. I don't want, a lot of people are boring. A lot of people are boring. And I've lived this life that I've created. Like, I was adamant, like, I'm not working in a office building and I'm ready to explore the world and build life. I have all these skills. I'm a great decision maker. I have perseverance. I have integrity. I live by a code. I'm strong as hell. I can beat everyone. I don't need school. I have what it takes. I'm out. And because I've accomplished this within myself, not with like the help of my parents or a husband or something, I know the capabilities that I have. Not saying that I don't want someone by my side. However, until they're here, I'm okay. Yeah. My parents, I really say, raised me so I don't need them. I don't need them. They gave me all the skills. If I get in a bind or if some life happens, as my father says, I'm not on the phone nonstop. Like, I need you to, no, I can figure it out. I'm astute. I'm quick. I know how this works. And I'm confident with my choices. And as I said, once you trust you, life is easy. Because if you don't trust you, that means you don't trust your decisions. And if you don't trust your decisions, life will be uncomfortable. Because all life is a series of decisions. So every day you must make decisions. And if you're not confident in your decisions, you will ask someone else, what should I do? Or you won't trust your decision. Or you will tell yourself you always make the worst decisions. Stop doing that. Trust it and go forward. Make a decision, believe in it, and move forward. That's it. Not mulling over, did I make the right decision? When is it going to backfire? Nah. Once you trust yourself, life is easy. I made this decision, I'm going forward. I'm not saying I don't trust myself. I do. Look at me. Look what I've built my life into. Why would I trust you? You are still working at the chevron that you've been working at since high school. And we've been out of high school for 20 years. So I'm okay with trusting me. I have a clear catalog of the decisions I've made and the accomplishments I've had. Here's the other thing. Quit asking people who haven't done what you've done. Most people don't believe in themselves. Okay? They don't believe in themselves. So why the heck would they believe in you? Thank you, Martha. Why the heck would someone encourage you when they can't even trust, encourage, and believe in themselves? But that comes back to you, trusting you, knowing you, saying, like, you know what, yo, yeah, tap the screen because I'm at 27% on my phone. I am getting the highest amount of likes from my live, and I'm speaking until my phone gives out. I'm now at 26%. So like the live, let's get it up. Let's get it up. I do not mind. I love all the time. And from a distance, listen, from a distance is great because you can always send things. And being a flight attendant, most of the time, my partners were not in the same country, but it didn't mean anything because I would see them regularly, like every week. So I would be with them for 3 days or 4 days and then leave for 3 days and then come back in 4 days and then leave for 3. So it was probably like a regular relationship, and I appreciate that. Yeah, you can always send things. You can send roses. You can send stuff from the wish list. You can send the Venmos and the Cash Apps. That's always great. It's always lovely to be like, hey, I love you from afar. I'm thinking about you. Send it. Send it. Send it. Oh, you know what? My father passed away. My father passed away on the 27th. So I shared this on one of the last lives. No one's meant, listen, it's no one's job to believe in your dream. It's your job to believe in it and not care when others don't. In fact, stop telling people they won't. If they don't believe in themselves, why the heck would they believe and encourage you to do something? Because then that's okay. I'm living in his legacy and I'm encouraged by it. So I use the grief as a catalyst for the beauty of who I am now. That's okay. I'm not even going to say that's okay. Thank you, Richard. Yeah, the world is small. I've ran into men that I've dated in airports. I've ran into men that I've dated in random cities. The world is very small. And because I was flying all the time, yeah, it's just a transition. And I have a close contact with that spiritual side. So he's always here with me. Because I would say, like, okay, in 14 hours, I'll be in Japan. Time is not real to me because I can be on a flight and be on a completely different side of the world in a completely different day within a 2-day span or 3-day span. And I have had that. I have had a few times. There was one time, there was this guy in Chicago. He was really cute, really cute. He was an accountant. He was the head, like, executive financial accountant at some big corporation in Chicago. And thank you, Martha. And I was introduced to him by a friend. And thank you for the follow, Luna Ambaye. We met, and I don't remember his name. I think it started with a W because this was quite a long time ago. This is when I was in training. And he was enamored by me, as you should be. And he wanted to take me out. And so we went out. It was like a double date, me, him, my friend, and one of his friends. And we went to the Steppers Club in Chicago, and we we went out, which was really cool, which I love about Chicago. But of course, I always loved that, and my dad would do that. There's a lot of things that I do even more so because of my dad, and I'm fantastic with pronunciation of words from any language. It's part of my charm. So we went out to a Steppers Club, which in Chicago was 27 and up because they didn't want no nonsense. And I'm at 24%. I'm talking to 1%. Let's get the likes up. I'm so happy I'm at 19%. And my phone was at 100% when I first started talking. So this is great. So Went out. He took us out. He showed us around Chicago. Thank you, Mark Anthony Henry, which I had already been to a few times with my family. I lived in St. Louis, Missouri for 5 years when I was like from 3 to 8. And my dad had work in Chicago, so we would go to Chicago as a family and shop and have the restaurant. So I knew about Chicago, but during training, I was there for 2 months. So the guy comes, he picks us up, takes us to a steppers club where I was 22 at the time, but I was always used to just getting in because I'm Hope. And the guy was in a full like 3-piece suit with a hat and some gaiters on. He was at the door sitting down. This is in Chicago. And I showed him my ID and he saw I was 22 and he was like, baby, you can't go in. I was like, why can't I? It was like, tap, tap, tap. He was tapping the screen like 27 and up, baby. I tried to talk myself in because I can talk myself in and out of everything. Not that time. So everyone was older than me. Everyone was like 27 and up. I was the youngest one. So we left and we went to a different club in Chicago and we went out to eat and it was really cool. And he was just like goo goo eyes for me. And then he came and brought us back to the training center, me and my friend, and dropped us off. So I was like, thank you so much. I've had such a good time. This has been great. So at the training center, we had these badges where we would tap it and this gate would open. Thank you, Danero Green 695 for the follow. This gate would open. We would go through the gate. We would have to close the gate and then we could walk into the reception area and walk into like our dorm for training. And so my friend already went in and I was sitting in his car just to talk more. And I said, okay, I'm going to go. This has been so fun. So I get out, I open the gate, I get into the gate and he rolls down the window. He's like, Hope. I'm like, yes. He's like, don't go. It was so cute. It was like a romantic movie. I was like, what? He's like, don't go. Please just stay. Just talk to me about anything. Just don't go. It was so cute. It was so cute. It was like a movie. It was so cute when he said don't go. It was really cute. I was like, I can't go. So I turned around. And thank you, Lady KB666 for the follow. I turned around and got back in the car and then we talked. So then we start talking more and we went out to dinner a few times. And that doesn't mean anything to me. You can take me out to dinner. It was cute when he was like, Hope, don't go. You can take me out to dinner 100 times. It doesn't give you access to me if I don't want to give you access to me. However, I will take the dinner. Okay, I will. And he was a great conversationalist, very intelligent, and I enjoyed talking to him. But there was no physicality because there was none. There's not going to be any. And I believe he got to a point where he's like, all right, I'm taking this girl out and it is getting nowhere. And I was okay with that. So we went out to eat lunch because he would come and take me out like once a week. And we were having lunch and he was like, you know what, Hope, with our age difference, I don't think this is going to work. I'm mentally unstable. And I'm like, is he breaking up with me? Because we're not even in a place where he can break up with me. Like, what is he doing? Like, it was kind of funny. Like, what is it? Okay, cool. That's cool. I'll finish my lunch and it's all good, but that's cool. All right. You're mentally unstable. Thank you for telling me. And then I had changed his name in my phone to mentally unstable. He had said, we've gone out, but you're 22 and I think he was 28 or 29 and you're starting flying and you're starting your life and I'm in a different stage. Cool. That's great. I'm going to enjoy my lunch. You got to take me back to the training center and that will be it. That's fine. I have presented myself in the best light and that's okay because sure. Okay, no harm, no foul. Like, anything dating wise is a free for all, but I don't take it personally. And um, you just gave me the cheat code. You've told me about your craziness. You just told me you're mentally unstable, and I appreciate that. I appreciate someone being upfront and forward about some of their mental capacities. So cool. I finished my lunch. I consumed him, possibly. So he took me back to the training center, and I had called my sister, like, this guy, I guess he like broke up with me, but we weren't in a relationship. We were getting to know each other. So it was funny to me. I don't take any of this personally at all, for real. Like, cool, go on. And I said, and he said he was mentally unstable. And she was like, oh, Hope, he's crazy, but he's not gone. And I said, I know, that's what I thought. She was like, yeah, watch in a few days. He's going to be like calling and texting you a lot. I said, I know, that's usually how it happens. It's like this bait and switch, but you've met your match because I am not affected. So, surely enough, maybe 3 or 4 days later, lots of text messages like, hey, can I talk to you? I want to talk to you. I think I messed up. I think that we should. I was like, well, you already stated that you're mentally unstable. Now, here's the second round of these messages like, hey, I'm going to drive over. Can you come out? We should talk. And I was like, yo, dude, of course, yeah, I gave him a hug. There was no kiss, though. I don't think I kissed him. I didn't feel it. If I don't feel it, I don't do it. There's never like, this is the third date, so you have that don't mean a thing. That don't mean a thing. If I don't feel anything, there is nothing. But when I do, it can just flow with ease. So I remember saying like, yo, you know what? I think it is okay and best if we not communicate, because I'm okay. I got my little lunches and dinners, and you showed me around the city, and you told me you were mentally unstable. So I'm going to take that as useful information. Take the information as useful information. Do not say mentally unstable. I can help you with that. I can be your shoulder to lean. No, no, nope, 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 nope. Thank you and no. Okay. And thank you for continuing to like the live. I'm at 20%. As I said, what's up, all caps? I'm speaking till it gets to 1%. I'm at 20%. I want the highest amount of likes. The highest amount of likes I think I've had is 30,000. So once we get over 30, perfect. So said guy, there was him, and then there was the guy that I had started with. Good night, Marquita, who had sat next to me in the empty seat. And we were still in contact, but my focus is getting out of training. I'm not trying to fall in love with y'all. I'm going to be based in DC, and there's plenty around the world. So I'm not really trying to anchor myself to any of y'all. So we didn't talk for a few weeks, and then training ended. I got my certification, and he contacted me because my friend had told him, we're all certified. We're going to be leaving Chicago to go home to get our things and report to our bases. So he messaged me like, hey, Hope, I know you finished training. I would love to come to the ceremony and just see you off. And I was like, sure, okay. So he came, and then he was like, you know, I'm proud of you, and I would like to take you out to eat, you and your friend. I was like, okay, sure. And we went out for like a nice lunch, and then the craziness started again, because he was like, you know what I think you should do before you leave? I think you should do something crazy, like really crazy with me. And I was like, you are so lame. I don't think that that's a great suggestion. So you can take me right back to the training center. So it ended that way. Fast forward like a year. I'm based in DC. He was from DC originally. I am coming out of working a flight from the airport in DC, going to take the bus to West Falls that connects West Falls to the DC Metro to take me to where I was living in the district. And as I'm walking in the airport, about to go out of the airport, I see him. And we haven't talked for like that year. And I was like, what? What? Is that? That's that dude. That's definitely him because he was very tall. I could definitely tell it was him. We locked eyes. He knew it was me. I knew it was him. Typically, I wouldn't say anything, but I was just in shock because I thought he was still in Chicago. It was like, why are we seeing each other at the airport? And so I think I said his name. And he kept walking, and then he turned around to come and speak to me. And it wasn't awkward. It was just like, yeah, that conversation was like forgettable. And this is back to the person that said, does the world seem small? It does, because I saw another guy that I stood up. I was supposed to be his date for a wedding, and I stood him up, and I saw him in the airport, and I tried to walk past him without saying anything, but we clearly saw each other, and that was awkward. This is how I've grown. At that time, I was like 22. I wouldn't do that now. But now I know how to say, like, I don't want to be your date for the wedding. And he said, when I come to DC, I can stay with you. I was like, why would you assume that? Absolutely not. You'll stay at the hotel that you book. You're not going to stay with me. Yeah, those guys that first year. Then there was a guy that I met on an all-nighter flight into LA. Well, I've never had a stalker. You can't really stalk me. I'm all around the world. And in saying that, I have had people like break into my WhatsApp and pretend to be someone else, and my email. I've had all of that. So I haven't had a stalker, but I've had men show up like outside and call me a whole bunch of times and stand in the rain under a tree. And that's memorable. And I understand, it's me. So there was the guy in that airport. Then there was, yeah, that was funny too. And he was a bit nuts. I'm a bit eclectic as well. So, maybe that's the only way I attract. And I like a bit of a curveball. Then there was this gentleman I met on this all-nighter to LA. And he was in tech as a consultant, and he was like, hey, yeah, let's go out. We exchanged information. Now, this was in like 2006. And he was in tech, but he traveled a lot. He loved traveling. And he traveled by couch surfing. So I would see him because he would travel as a consultant a lot around the world and around the nation. So I would actually see him on flights, and it was great because a lot of my gentlemen or the men that stood by my side had such a travel story like me. They weren't ever in aviation, but they traveled just as much as me. And thank you for continuing to like the live. I'm at 17%. I'm talking till my phone dies. So I love the fact we're at 26,000 likes. And let's see how much more we can go with my remaining 17%. So he was cool because he would DJ on the side. He was in tech, but he loved music, so he would DJ on the side, and he would go out to different like events all around the world. But he would always drunk dial me. Like, I have been that person that there were a few guys that would always drunk dial me. Whenever they were drunk, they would call me. And it was actually fun and exciting because I'm like, yeah, a drunk call. What are they going to say? And so he would always drunk dial me and then forget what he said. And he was cool. And we went on a date because I love the outdoors. And he was like, hey, how about we go hiking in the coastal mountain range near Santa Barbara? And I was like, that's lovely. That's like, let's go for a movie. No, let's go on the coastal mountain range near Santa Barbara and spend the day because that's what I love. Um, so yeah, we love the outdoors. I flew to Santa Barbara, which I love. I was actually looking like if I were ever to live back full time mainland US, because the only place I would live in the US is Hawaii. Maybe a ranch, like a compound in California, but I don't know. I don't want to be on the mainland. However, I like Santa Barbara. So we met. He picked me up from the airport. He was like, let's go get our snacks for our hike. And we went to Trader Joe's. He was like, get what you want. Now, when I would go hiking with my dad or we would go fishing in the Sierra Nevadas, we would bring granola bars. As a family, we would make like sandwiches, like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, veggie sandwiches, and we would cut them up and put them in bags. Like there were 6 of us, so 12 sandwiches, 2 each. We would bring bags of potato chips and trail mix and granola and raisins and apples, like those types of snacks. So as we were in Trader Joe's, I was grabbing fruits and I grabbed granola bars and some of their pre-made sandwiches. He was like, geez, Hope, are you going to be eating the whole time? And it's both, Richard. Why? Why? Are you offering love, Richard? Thank you, Jenny Sperano 959. Okay, well, try out the left coast. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to be snacking. What you talking about? I love a good granola bar. Don't take me away from my granola bar. I'm the original granola queen. I have my hiking boots ready to go. Give me my granola bar. Give me my box of raisins. And we are not having a discussion about this. What? There is no discussion about my granola bar and raisins. What, am I going to put this back on the shelf? Absolutely not. This is still a date. I love my raisins. I love my granola bar. And I like to grange throughout the day. It depends. Possibly no almonds or walnuts, but it depends. If I'm in like Switzerland, I love the muesli and the granola there. It's fantabulous. Here it's too sweet. But the question was, are you going to be eating all of this? Of course I am. And I'm not putting it back. So I land Santa Barbara. We go, we get the snacks. And that's not, I actually eat a lot. I didn't find that controlling because I don't care. You can ask me, am I going to be eating the whole time? Yeah, and I'm still getting this. It's not controlling because I'm still going to do what I want. You can voice it. And I'm still getting the sandwiches, the raisins, the fruit, the granola, and some fruit snacks, some drinks, everything. I'm going to throw some stuff in there with me to take back after the date. That is my thought. So it ain't controlling to me. I'm going back with the goodie bag. Okay? What's up, MP for me? I'm going back with the goodie bag after this date. So we get the lovely snacks and then we drive up to this beautiful area in Santa Barbara. Thank you for the rose, MP for me. And we go on this lovely hike. Yes. Yes. Oh, I love painting. I used to go to the ocean and just paint. Yes. Happy Boo Year to you too. So over the hike, it was great. And we're like looking at the different stages of life and the different trees and the water. It was great. It was a great hike too. And we took a picture at the top of the mountain thing, and then we came down, and it was really fun. I liked it. Now, then he said, okay, so you can either, I have an extra room, you're welcome to stay and leave in the morning, no pressure, and you would have your own space, or I can take you to the airport and you can leave this same night, because I came in that morning and my intention was to leave that night. And we sat in the car at the top of this mountain thing and looked at this beautiful vista point, and then he proposed. Now, we had a great talk and we kissed, but his kiss was terrible. Oh my gosh, it was horrible. I said, yeah, this ain't gonna work. We know. And that's the beautiful part about honesty. As soon as we kissed in the car, I was like, oh, this is terrible. Yeah, this is done. This is done. And I'm glad I got the goodie bag to take back with me, because this is done. Thank you for continuing to like the live. I'm at 13%. I'm going to continue to talk until 1%. And so we will just continue to like and share the live until then. So yeah, his kiss was just not disciplined, and it was too wet, and it was like it just was not it. Oh, so terrible, because he's such an intelligent guy. But it doesn't matter. You must remember this. A kiss, it's just a kiss. A smile is just a smile. But that kiss was horrible. So then when he picked me up, he went to grab his bag stuff and compass from his place, and his place was a mess. It was like you knew someone was coming. Why didn't you do something? No, there's no way, even in a spare room, that I would allow this well-oiled machine to stay there. I will. Thank you, Dackle Davis. So the messy plate, it was terrible. There was stuff all over the floor. It looked like someone came and took a box of stuff and just shook it all around. What's up, Dee? And hi, sir. That is so cute. Thank you, sir. And so messy place, bad kisser, great person. So we stayed in touch and we would talk, and I would actually see him in different places in the world, because he had a great brand. He still has a great brand. He's built his brand up, and he's built up a following, and he does a lot of traveling with people of color, and showing them around the world, because he really travels a lot. And I saw him when I came back from Argentina, in the airport I think we were in Houston airport, and I was like, hey, what's up? So I saw him in the arrivals hall, in the passport control in Bush International. I was coming back from Argentina and Brazil, and he was coming back from, I think he was coming back. I don't know where he was coming, but it was somewhere internationally. And so we talked in the airport, and then I didn't see him for years. I ran into him randomly 4 or 5 years ago in San Francisco airport. So this is when I was based out of San Francisco, but lived in Hawaii, and I would work my trips and then commute back to Maui. And I saw him, I had finished a trip. I might have finished a trip from, if I was in San Francisco. Thank you, Dackle Davis, for the follow. And we're at 12%. Continue to like the live. Thank you for getting it up to 31%, because at 1% we're done, but I'm at 12%. Where had I came in from? I might have came in from New York. And I'll tell you, sir, what's good about a kiss. Thank you, Sanford Shannon, for the follow. So I came in, I still had kind of like my flight attendant face on. I was sitting, waiting for my flight back to Maui in San Francisco International Airport. And he walked by and we did a double take. He's like, Hope. And I said his name and I was like, Hi. I haven't seen you since we saw each other in the arrivals hall when I came back from Argentina. And he said, How are you? I said, I'm really good. In fact, I'm flying to Hawaii. I live in Hawaii now. The last time he saw me, I was living in London. It was several years before. And I love when a man says this, and this is especially for any person who travels. He's like, Would you like to come to the Centurion Lounge, the American Express Lounge? And let's have a meal and catch up. I was like, Of course I would. Yes. I love a good airport lounge. Catch up, especially the Centurion Lounge. I love the American Express Lounge. Of course, let me grab my things. He said, Yeah, come on. So I grabbed my bag and we went into the Centurion Lounge. And I don't drink. And he was like, Do you want to drink? No, you know I have tea. So I got some tea and I got a light something to eat. And we talked for like an hour, 90 minutes. And I was like, Yeah, you look great. And he was like, Wow, so Hawaii? I said, Yeah, I just moved. I had just moved there a few months before. And I love it. After London and New York and DC, like, I love Maui and I love my Hawaii life and I love a bikini top and some vintage Levi cutoffs and I just love it. I really have a deep passion for Hawaii. He was like, Okay, that's great. And I said, So what about you? Are you married? Do you have kids? He was like, Well, funny enough, yes, I am. I have a child on the way. I was like, Of course. You've waited quite a while. Well, that's really good. That's really good. When's the wedding? He said, Well, it's for, they had already planned the wedding or something. I said, I'm proud of you. That's great. You have a great life. And that was it. We had a nice meal and caught up in the Centurion Lounge. And then I went on my flight and he went on his. And I love an airport lounge catch up. It's great. Like, Hope, hey. So, yes, I've seen people all over the world. It's kind of crazy. So, sir, so what is good about a kiss? I haven't kissed a lot, so I worry about how is best, although no complaints. Well, maybe they just didn't tell you. I don't know. A kiss has to be, to me, it's a feeling. Like if you have to mechanically think about it, then I don't, I don't know if that's the best way to go at it. But when it's just a feeling, then you can feel your way through it. But if you're slobbering all over like my chin and face, that's not a recipe for a memorable kiss. If you're like gorging my throat with your tongue, that is, I will push you back and say, I don't appreciate that. That is not the way we're going about this. Um, um, and I know from the kiss. That's why I knew well, it's most a lot of people don't say it. They just go along with it, or they'll tell their friends, or they just won't give feedback. So you could just be a terrible kisser to everyone but one person. Maybe you are a great kisser to one person, but the other people are used to. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Um, but he was a terrible kisser, and kissing means something. It does. It really, really does. You gotta be able to know the art of a kiss. Thank you, Jason, for the heart. You have to know the art of a kiss and even timing. And I remember, when this was two equinoxes ago, two winter equinoxes ago. This might have been last year. How does one learn? You learn by doing it. You learn by kissing. You learn by feeling and stop thinking in your head. Like that's how you learn. And most of the I think I've learned because I've been in long-term relationships. So there's feedback and you get used to kissing that person. Because I'm not just kissing anyone. Like, oof, that's my no. No, I'm not just kissing you. No, it's a feeling. And I think that it can't be just kissing. Well, I enjoy a great kiss. And to learn is to do. So I don't know. You can like do this at the back of your hand. I don't know what to tell you. So then who a good kisser? There's been good kissers. I just can't they weren't memorable enough for me to just recall. Um but the bad ones always stand out. And that was bad, but that's probably the only one that was memorably bad. And it was bad also because he was very intelligent and traveled like me and in tech and just like a really cool person. I enjoyed talking to him. I enjoyed his outlook in life and just the way he processed things. And he was engaging. So this, yes, and I love a romance story. I love a romance. I love romance. I love that just being doted upon and adored and all of that. And I'm okay if it's not there. So right, kissing. So I will tell you if I don't want to kiss you. And I remember going with, thank you, JVC, for the follow. And I'm at 9%. 1%, I'm done with the live. We've been talking since my phone was at 100%. And we're at 32,000 likes. Continue to like the live. And I will finish up until my phone is depleted. So there's a guy, we went out for the winter equinox into like the wilderness, into one of my favorite areas of Maui. And there was this whole story, but we went to the water and we got in the water together with this gentleman. It was dark. It's like in the beautiful mountain range, and it's the longest night of the year because it's the winter equinox, and we're in the water. And he's like, "Hope, can I kiss you?" And I said, "Not yet." Not no. It's not like a never, but not yet. No, I'm not getting. Even though it's a perfect surrounding, and we're here in this bubbling creek, looking at the stars in Hawaii. No, not yet. No, I don't want to kiss you. That's just it. Just because you showed me some water and the stars, I can do that myself. It's always there. I come here anyway. But a kiss, no, not yet. Yeah, what would you want to hear in my book? What stories do you want to hear? Tell me, please. This is helpful. I'm gathering this. Thank you for the follow, Teresa. King Cobra, did you do that on purpose? Yeah, I would want to hear what you want to hear. So I told him no. And yeah, they're very intriguing. I have quite a few stories. I have hilarious stories. I have stories. I have hilarious stories, especially like my date stories. I remember when I wasn't even flying yet. I might have been, it was right before I was flying. So I might have been 21 or maybe 22. And I was in New York with my sister kissing the frog. Yeah, you got to kiss some frogs. And I'm okay with that. It's all about the experience. However, bad kiss, that's a no for me. That's a no. We can try to work on it, but initially, as I said, you must remember this. A kiss is just a kiss. Sure, nothing is predictable. But I was there in New York and we went out to eat, and it was this old French man. And he was like, I must take you out. I want to take you for a dinner. I was like, okay, sure. I'm always up for a lovely dining experience, not a Johnny Rockets, like a Michelin starred 5-star restaurant. Yes, I am her. Okay? I know my forks and my spoons. I know my salad fork from my dinner fork, from my dessert spoon. I know all of that and the different glasses, and I love all of that. So I said, sure, let's go for a meal. And this person had produced, thank you, Innkeeper, for the follow. He had produced, I believe it was American, what was that movie with Kevin Spacey and the girl and like the rose petals. Anyway, he was like, I don't know, produce some movie. He was like, I would like to take you for a meal. And we went and had a meal. And then I was like, okay, now what? Because I'm not hanging out with this guy afterwards. He's like, well, we can have dessert and a cigarette. My brownstone is here. And I'm like, okay, well, I can set my clock to this one because I'm not just going to someone's house like that. No, we can go and have a dessert somewhere and then I'm getting home. Thank you, James, for the follow. So I remember he was like, so we can have a dessert and we have a cigarette and we have some sex. And I was like, no. No, 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 no. Thanks for the suggestion, but no. So I think it's my dating. See, I enjoy dating. I see it as a beautiful sport, and I also know it's a part of it. You have to do that to find that person. And I have great dating experiences because, well, it's me. And it's all around the world. I don't have that experience like the people in my hometown that just trade around the same people. I They're all around the world. So I don't have to see them and they're great experiences and I learn about myself through these things. Yeah, it was like no. That is not going to happen. What's up, Funky Mark? I'm at 7%. I'm going to 1%. Continue to like the live. There are some other, like the well known people, because there's been people who are known in different occupations, and I would never say their names because that's just tacky and ridiculous. And even with that, I did not care because it doesn't matter if you're this well-known actor or musician, you're still a dude. I'm getting to know you, not your profession. And most people want to be with that person because of their skill or what they do. If I don't like you, I don't care if you're in the latest blockbuster. I just will end it. You can't convince me because of what you do to be around you more because you're still just a dude. And I remember before I left my hometown, I was working at this restaurant as like a runner or a hostess. And one of the managers was in love with me. He was in love with me and he was dealing with an alcohol problem. But yeah, this is a part of my art to just be honest and share these things. There's a reason why. Thank you, James, for sharing the live. It's what I do. That's why Hope is speaking. And just my phone is at 6%. I will talk to 1%, continue to like the live. So so he liked me and he would give me the best shifts and I knew all of this, but I didn't, they're all in love with me. That's what happens, but Hope is just going to go on with her life. And he would give me all the right shifts, but then he told someone we were involved, which we weren't. And I saw him at a party and I was like, why did you tell people that? I just went up to him in a very cordial way. Clarification on why you are sharing with people that we have been intimate when I've never I don't even think I've been in your car. That's lame to even say that. And he was like, you know what, Hope? You think you can just go around and break people's hearts because you're beautiful? And he was crying. It was like at a party. He was just crazy. I don't know. I asked myself that too. Why can't I just settle? But I can't because I know what's for me. Thank you, Robert Johnson 9540. If you like, and here's the thing, I'm truly honest when I say a grand gesture. A grand gesture, like, hey, will you go out with me? Nah, if you like said Hope, I like you. I know you like to do something here. Let me cash app you and you go buy a bunch of flowers and let me watch you arrange these flowers. That would be like a cool gesture. I don't know. It would have to be something that would be eye-catching because I'm usually just on the go and I ain't listening. Hopefully, I like that. Do I I don't fear anything. Do you hear me? I don't fear anything. There's nothing. There is no fear in me. And if I do have fear, I can feel it and go forward. There's nothing that's crippling about everything is unknown. My whole life is unknown. I left college and built my life. The beauty is it's unknown. The beauty is the not knowing and just creating. You don't have to beg me to not settle, sir. Trust me. Trust me. I know that. And I trust myself, so I know what's for me. So yeah, there was that guy and he started crying. I just, men do fall in love with me as they do, as you would. I'm Hope. What's not to love? And I've loved them too. That's a part of it. Loving you and knowing that you aren't it. I'm thinking you are absolutely correct, Jeff. I'm at 4%, so we have 3% to go, and I thank you, Chef Taji, for the follow. I come on live daily. I don't have a specific time, so I upload all of my lives to my YouTube channel, which is Hope is Speaking. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can see all of my lives as well as my content. I like that, Jeff. I love a man that can calculate. I love that. Math and numbers. I love it. And thank you, Robert Johnson 9540 for the follow. Subscribe to my YouTube. I upload content every day. I'm editing a video about what I have learned in grieving the passing of my father, some beautiful things and some tools. And I speak a lot about just empowerment and things like this. So follow me here, subscribe to my YouTube. I upload every day, and my link in bio, if you go to my page and you click the link, I have all of my links. You can see my TED Talk, which I did in Germany in October. It is the first link in the link in bio entitled My TED Talk, or I took algebra a few times. Or you can just go to YouTube and Google Hope TED Talk Emergency Landing You Need, because then you can actually see my profession and what I do. So this is what I do. And I love when people are inspired because I made that commitment and my TED Talk talks about it. How do I stand in the face of obstacles I'm faced? Nothing is obstacle. It's just there. Nothing is stopping me from getting to the goal. I don't care about an obstacle. It's just in the middle of what I need to get to, so I don't see it. In fact, the beauty is what I will grow into to surpass what is you label obstacle, but I label just the lesson that I have to grow into. I'm at 3%, Jeff. Yeah, nothing scares me. Plus, how do you handle a runaway train? I don't. I don't. Plus, my grandmother's brother's legs were cut off from. You don't need that strength. You are that strength. You just have to believe that you are. There's nothing in you that you need. You're already it. Your job is to believe that it is you. So you just believe. It doesn't just come. You don't just acquire it. You do acquire it by doing difficult tasks often, and there's the just ability to believe that you can. It's both. So, with that, sir, come on, don't play with me. Um, yeah, you made it. That is something interesting. That is lovely. So I am down to 2%. It's about to go to 1%. I have enjoyed this live. We've been on here for, wow, just over 3 hours. So, with that, as I said, subscribe to my YouTube. I am gingerly making my way up to the 1,000 followers, and I love my content. And I'm really consistent with content, which I love. Every day will be something. And my lives are on there, and they're almost like podcasts. You can watch that. And thank you, Funky Mark, for the live. This is what I do. Give a grand gesture. You know, I'm always waiting for a grand gesture. I have several links where you can make a gesture or hit me up. But if it's not a grand gesture, I don't see it. I know how unique and special I am. Trust me. I close all my lives with, be the reflection of love, because we all come from an infinite source of love. Show up. All I did was show up. All you have to do is show up. The rest will be done. But if you don't show up, nothing can be done. And be more than you are now, meaning that fear that you have will be there. Still go forward. Be more than you are. Don't do what you've been doing. So if it was always the choice of not doing anything, what is the opposite? Doing something. Do that. That's how you show up differently. And I just made a piece of content about showing up differently in 2024. Do hard shit. Do the stuff you don't want to do. That's it. Bernard, you would have to send me something large to understand that you would even be strong enough for me to hold your hand. You gotta understand, I may crush your hand, and I am at 1%. So, sir, thank you, Reek, thank you for the follow, and I'm looking for all of you to subscribe to my YouTube. I will see you tomorrow, and go get a workout in, because I did. I love you all. Be hopeful, subscribe, like, send some gifts, and be better, because you are. Thank you for this live, and I know you will be back. I love you too. Bye, sir.